Hey guys, thank you so much for joining this session and let's start. So, this is the meetup, and today's session is this level one and session for conditional and indentation. So, that's one thing. And the second thing is this is from the .NET Learners House, the YouTube channel, where you see this is coming in all these videos, and you will see that there's a playlist. There are bunch of playlists, and the current one is this one, Python Fundamentals Level 1. So what is this Level 1 and Level 2? I think it's 3-4 months I have discontinued, but I would like to walk you guys through a plan, high level plan, real quick. So each of these levels, whatever I'm calling, uh, level 1, level 2, all the way till level 9. So those are incremental learning. So the plan is in each level, like we do short 30-minute sessions. So if you see, we have completed these three. The videos are available in this YouTube channel where you can see that. And today's session is this. So the plan is like we do four quick 30-minute session, so around 2 hours content. Could be less or could be little bit more, but it is plus or minus around 2 hours. A little bit of knowledge we gain, and we create a small a mini project kind of thing, a working sample based on the knowledge which we gained in the previous 4 session. Again, we'll continue the same, like part one, part two kind of thing, like phase A and phase B, like phase one and phase two kind of thing. So second is again we'll do 4 small sessions and one mini project. And here if you see, we are introducing conditional thing. But when you come here, control flow and functions. So do not get confused. So the intention is sometimes at a level 1, we might introduce a concept. Like if you see the print function looks very simple, but when you go deep into the print function, there are a lot of things we can learn from it. But we might introduce something in one level, and again we will definitely revisit those concepts in level 2, level 3, level 4. We might learn something new, or we just revisit, we will learn similar thing, but that is the entire plan. Okay, so there are these 3 sessions which were done, and today is session 4. And also if you can go into these sessions, and inside this you can see uh, a detailed plan of what this level 1 is. It comes around, as I was mentioning, to be precise, like it's like a 30 minutes, and the mini project can go a little bit longer. But here is a visual map. So we are done with these 3. We are on this, and the next session will be a mini project, and here. So we'll cross level 1 to level 2. So it's like that one. Okay. And also I did a little bit of facelift in the previous documentation. We have seen a lot of things in the previous one, where we have seen this how to uh, get deep into the weeds to find out how the source code will be converted into the machine level. And we have seen the what happens under the hood. So whether the Python is compiled language or interpreted language, we saw that when we give the source code, it gets compiled. That's the first part. It gets compiled into bytecode, and the Python virtual machine will pick up that and execute in an interpreted language. We did a detailed discussion on that, and all the sessions will be published here. And I know have discontinued for a couple of months on this one, but we will restart now. There are a lot of other plans on other things like data analytics and machine learning, OpenAI. So we are restarting. So that's good news. So let's start uh, today's discussion. And all the code is available. So do not worry. You have the documentation and code. Here is the here is the one over here, and today's session is over here. Okay. So that being said, let's go and get started on this one. Okay. So what is that we are going to do today? So today we are starting with conditionals, indentation, introduction to modules. So those are the three top topics which we are going to discuss today. So if you see what is that indentation. So if you see that one in the previous sessions, so let's come back over here in the session one. So we see we wrote everything flat, and you see this, there's only one program and we have everything within that straight. So let's see the session 2 programs, and inside the session 2 we discussed about the variables, and we can see that everything is flat without any indentation. So let's see the session 3, the previous one, where we discussed about the arithmetic operators, the comparison, and a little bit of a mini calculator kind of thing. But again, that is quite flat. Okay. So now today we will discuss about the indentation also. What is indentation? Why it is needed? So if you see, let's come back to this one. Let me open up all these files which are needed, and I will close this Explorer panel. So we'll get extra real estate over here. So let's see this first piece over here. Let's come back. And so as I was discussing that it was all, everything was flat till now. So now the rules for this indentation is, how does Python recognizes like a set of statements belongs to a block. So in other languages like JavaScript or Java or C Sharp, we have flower brackets. We call it as a block of code. So within that, it belongs. Like if you have a method or a function, so inside that, there are a set of statements which we will write. So how does Python knows that? So if you see, whenever we are writing and conditionals, for today, our intention is to learn about these conditions. So let's stick to that conditions and see that. So the conditional block is that which we are learning today. So we'll speak about that. So if you want to execute set of statements when a condition is true, so in that case, we have to execute all these statements within that if block or else block. So we have to indent that piece of code. So let's see a working file here, so sample.py. And what I'll do is I will again close this and come back over here, and let's copy the same and put it over here. So we have this, and now if you see, if I put this one, you can see the IDE itself is pointing that there is something royally wrong. That means we have to indent it properly. So some people, they do tab, they mix the space and they mix the tab. Like I'm using tab here and I'm using the space. Now if you see that I'm executing, it clearly shows that I'm saying that I'm 50 years old, which I am. So it says that I'm an adult. Like, but this is not a good practice to use a mix of one space, two spaces, three spaces, space versus tab to be uniform, fixed to four spaces. That's generally uh, some people prefer, some programmers prefer four spaces, some people they prefer two spaces. So fix and fixed number of spaces. So across the team, everyone can follow whether it is two spaces or whether it is four spaces. Together as a team, come to a conclusion so that it will help. Like if my preference is four spaces and Manish's preference is two spaces, and if I say that I will follow four and Manish says that I will follow two, that's a drift. So it's better to agree upon an entire team follow that. So now we understood this. And another thing to see here, if I use another print statement, so this print statement will be executed no matter whether the condition goes into the if block or whether it goes to the else block. So let's come back to the documentation and start with this one. So that's about the indentation. So whenever you use any of the block of code, when you want to execute a block of code, be it a if condition or while loops or for loops or functions or whatever the kind of block it is. So we need to have the indentation. So that too a proper indentation. So whether it is just now we saw that if you don't give, it will be throwing an error. I mean the IDE supports because I installed some of the extensions. It is supporting, but if we don't give that, there will be a problem. So Pepite is the one which are the rules of the game. Like if you go and search for Pepite, so these are the style guides for the Python. So this defines how the things should be. Okay, like we had four spaces, like as we were discussing at the start of this one. So the Pepite or this, we can install uh, Pepite also as part of the extension. So when you have some spaces like this, and once you do, like if you want to install the formatters, one of the thing is Pepite, which we can install. So as of today, we will stick to the game plan, not do any of these things, and will continue. And as we have seen this, anytime after colon, one important thing is, as I was mentioning, whether it is be it a function or any kind of loops, if conditions, after the colon, that's the indication that any statement which is coming after that belongs to that block, that particular block. So, okay. So the next thing is conditions. we are discussing about the conditions. So the first piece what we discussed today is indentation. So Python recognizes once you do the indentation, so it recognizes that. It's a good part we are discussing. Now see this. This is a gap. Now even if I indent this, if I indent this, now you see this. So it has displayed previously when there was no indentation and we executed it. So the second line that runs no matter whether our condition was true or false, whether it went into the if block or else block, the second line was executing. Now when I did an indentation, so visually if you see that there is a gap. So let me give more number of lines between the print statement at line 6 and print statement at line 12. But see this, it didn't get into that the else block, because no matter how many number of empty lines you give it, but when you do an indentation, so that's the indication you are giving it to Python, saying that, hey, I want to execute these statements, because after colon, that's what we read in the documentation, after colon, when you do an indentation, that means you're expressing your intent to execute these set of statements as part of that block. So after colon, there is one statement. Here after colon, there are two statements because both are indented. Now, if you see that, I will bring in here. I'm not giving any space. I'm not giving any space, and it is executing that still. I mean, visually, if you see this, I think that, oh, this two statements belongs to else. No, here the rules are based on the indentation, whether you give an empty line between those statements or not, it will not consider that. But what is very important is the indentation. So there are few different things which we saw. So let's come back to the conditional blocks. So what is very important in this conditional block is, if you want to execute a set of statements when a condition is true. So if you see that you want to execute this score, the print A. So let's take the same sample file where we are discussing all these things. So I'm saying that now the score, if it is 90, so display this. So it displays A. Okay. So now that's one thing. And again, the indentation is very, very important. Now we can extend that with the else block also. What if, which we have already seen in the previous example, the age is greater than or equal to 18. We said that adult or minor. Now let's see the sample through. I'm keeping all these blocks, whatever we are learning. So here, again, I'm reinitializing the score. And here it is 40. So it has come into the else block. So first is a single block. It said that if true, what if it is false? So it falls into this one. And we saw that indentation rules to a decent extent in the previous section. Now, what if you have more number of blocks or conditions to discuss? So let's see this piece. So what I'll do is I'll block all these so that we can focus on one thing. Now here, if you see this score is 82. So in which block it will fall? So let's see that. So it says we are in the B grade because it's 82. It's coming into this one. So what is very important when we are dealing with these conditions is, even though we have here, it is only one block. So whether if it is true, it will execute. If not, this particular statement is ignored. If it is only if block. If at all, if it is if and else block, so it will execute this statement if the condition is true, or it will execute this statement if the condition is false. One out of this will get executed. Now, if you have more than two statements, two states, like if this is true, it will execute this. If this is true, if this is true, if this is true, if this is true. No matter you have any number of blocks at any point of time, only one set will execute. That means whether if this condition gets executes, then all other conditions will be ignored. That's very important when you're learning if else block, right? So only one will get executed. And what we have to observe, I mean, any programmers who are little new, they need to understand one important thing is, like, if you see here, let's see this. If I move this here, let me block this. I'll copy this and I'll comment it, and let's see this one. If the score is greater than or equal to 60, let's put this as a first one, and let's put, I mean, remaining thing, I'm keeping it there itself without changing. So let's see, just for the namesake, now it is 82. Our expectation is it should come and hit C, that block. That means line number 8. Now it is printing the line number 4. So as we were discussing, at any given point of time, it will execute only one set or one block. So the moment it encounters the first block, which gets evaluated true, it will ignore rest of the blocks. So here, when we see the score greater than or equal to 60, the score is 82, which we have initialized in the line number 1. So definitely the 82 is greater than 60. So that is the first statement which gets evaluated and it becomes true. So what is very important when any junior programmers or new programmers who are learning this, you need to do it in an order where it is most frequent to less frequent. So most frequent is this, anything greater than 90. So assume that maximum score is 100. So 90 block is the topmost. So if you write the 60 block at the top, so anything above 60 all the way till 90, that gets executed first. So that's very important thing which we need to understand when we are writing the loops. So that's what we discussed about this one. And we see a nested condition block. So nested condition block is, you have a condition, we have a block within a block. So let me comment this working file and we'll see this one. So now again, the rules are same. Like we have a colon. After colon, we have 4 spaces or a tab. 4 spaces technically. So this line number 5, 6, 7, and 8 belongs to the condition of line number 4. Now if I add something here, and again the rules are same. If I add it here, now this becomes part of the else block. If I remove the space, oh sorry, if I put it back here, which is 4 spaces here, so that means it belongs to part of this. Now similarly if I have this over here, that means it doesn't belongs to condition in line 4 and else condition in line 12, it will execute no matter what. Now if I paste it over here, now it becomes part of the else block, which is it which is at line number 12. So let's see execution, or let me remove this extra lines which I've added, so we'll have some clarity. Now you understood that what is very important is it should be indented. So let me create an empty line over here. Now here I have a ticket, but the age of the guy who has the ticket is 15. So we are saying that, okay, welcome to the family section. So here, so he's not sitting individually, he has to sit with his parents or the family. If I don't have the ticket, that means it's a false. So then definitely it will come to a condition where it says you have to buy a ticket. So what is very important is here, if I execute this, it is not recognizing the false. So what is very important is it should be capital F or capital True. So you can mouse over on that. You can see the moment you do lowercase, you can see that red squiggles and there's an error. So you've seen simple if block, and you have seen if else block, and if elif else block. I have multiple if conditions, and when you are in this, you should not fall into the trap. So the topmost one should be that within the range, or the condition should be properly evaluated. So that means should be very thoughtful that when we place the condition at the top of this if else chain, so the first condition wins. Once it meets that condition, none of the other statements will get executed. That is very, very important. And we saw that nested, and now we know how to write a simple programs with if and else if and elif. So only one blocks get executed. So there's a mix of the conditions, condition and the logical operators. Okay, this is and, that means both the conditions should be true, and this or any one, and not is negation of that. So let's quickly see these three. For the time being, I'll remove everything. So now I'm saying that because age is 25 and he has a driver's license, so both the conditions has to be met. So let's keep the truth table over here. So here true and true is true. Rest of anything, whether this is false or whether this is false or both false, it will not get evaluated. So now let's see the or condition. So it's there in the documentation, whatever I created. Now you can see this weekend is true, holiday is false. I mean, that. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't save the file. So you can sleep in. So either if you say, if it is unconditional, then I will start crying. Not only me, many people will definitely cry. It's weekend and you have to go to office or you have to work. Then definitely it's a moment of, it's not a moment of joy for sure. So this is or, whether it is a weekend or whether it is a holiday, it's a weekend. So whether it is holiday or not, you don't need to worry, because here the truth table is anyone is true, like both are true, or this is true, or this is true, all these three will evaluate it to true. So let's see, the not operator is the negation. There's a negation operator. So you're saying that, is it raining? So not raining. We can clearly remove this. It's raining is false. Then also raining is false. We can go out. Not is negation of this condition. And combining multiple things, like, and again it's a complex one, like we have conditions with logical operators, and again we know the truth table. Now here, if you see this particular condition, age is less than 30 and is a student, so both should be true, then this entire thing will be true. On top of that has a coupon, like either this or this. It's a little bit um, complex, and you can see the this is a little bit more complex. Like, it's not rocket science, but a little bit, because for a programmer who's starting it, it's a bit complex. Like if you see that we are asking the user to enter the username password, and we have hard coded that username and password. So I'll move this to the top. So that's an initialization piece. So here you can see user enters something. If it is true, we are saying that login is successful. If the username is something else, then you're saying that username is incorrect or password incorrect. Generally, we don't do, because if you do that, the hackers will definitely know that how to crack it. If it clearly says that username is wrong, so that is clearly giving the indication to the hacker that a user exists with particular label. So that gives him more energy to get into the system. Okay, one thing is modules. So module is a library which is already written by someone. So it could be custom built or a built-in modules. So as of today, we'll see only one module, which is a built-in module, which is random. So random is one, uh, which is a built-in module where we will use this, and then we will be able to invoke the methods inside that. Now, if you see here, when you mouse over, it clearly says that module random. It's a random variable generator, and it gives more of this information. If you want to still get deep into the weeds, you can click on that, and you can go and look at the code, how the rand module has been coded. You can get deep into the weeds to see. We don't need to get that deep, but at least for today we will stick to this, and you can see that every time we execute it, it gives us a random function like C5, 3, 10, 5, and 2. Okay, so that's when you have to use the functionality which has been written inside a module. We need to import a module, like see that import the module name, and the module name dot function, we are just calling this one. Now I have created all the demos over here. You guys can take time and execute this conditional. Okay, 45% guy. So then Python 02, that's the Boolean logic. Do I have a license? No, I don't. Is it weekend? I say yes. Is it holiday? I said no. That we have already seen that. Is it raining? I said yes. So go outside is fall. Is it raining? True. Just a flip. Discount calculator? Yes. So again, that's the third one. Guess. So I'm guessing 7. It's too low. The number was 9. So you can see that there's 3 programs which is there, and I'm not going to save this because this we used as a working version of today's session. So let's do a quick 1-minute recap. And what is very important is, let's do a recap. We saw that till now, session 1, 2, 3, we saw that all the statements were within the file, were straight. And how does Python recognizes to execute a set of statements under a particular block? The moment you open colon, we discussed that we need to give a proper indentation, whether it is 2 or 4. Together as a team, we have to decide and we need to stick to that. And we saw some of the rules, and then we started with single condition, then if and else, then multiple ifs. And what is very important is we need to ensure that uh, only one condition gets executed and it gets evaluated from top to bottom. If the first one gets executed, rest of the things will get ignored. So you need to keep the thing which is at the top. That means anything which gets executed, others will get ignored. So only those kind of conditions you need to move it to the top. Like here, if you see that the score greater than 75, you should not put it because 90 is part of this condition. So this will never get executed. So we saw that nested, and again the rules are same. And we saw the Boolean mixed with conditional. We have a truth table for that. And combining a little bit more complex, we made it. And login validation, I told this is a very unsafe way. This is we are inviting the hackers to hackers. Never ever give this information that username is wrong or password is wrong. Credentials, invalid credentials, a simple generic message will save us. We saw about modules, built-in module code which has been already written. We are reusing that. And we just saw demo. And what is very important is single equal to is assignment, double equal to is a condition. So sometimes we'll be missing. Sometimes there might be an indentation problem, which we have seen. You might face uh, you might face problems of that one. I mean, most frequently. I mean, this is the beginner series. Anyone who's learning that, and these are the programs which are available for you to go in and practice. So see you in in 10-15 days. There'll be another session. Until then, thank you so much. Hope you have learned something new.